Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us. Well, I'll tell you something. If you didn't get enough out of that debate for that first hour between myself and J.D. Sharp, well, you're in for some more, ladies and gentlemen. I'll explain. To my left right now, his name is Doug Basham, ladies and gentlemen. He is a bleeding liberal. I don't think he'd mind me saying that. That's right. It's the intro for his song for his show, which broadcasts every Saturday on KDWN, 2 to 4 p.m. He does raise a little bit of hell. Doug, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. How you doing?
It's always a pleasure, guys. Good to see you again.
Yeah, thanks for being
Absolutely.
here. So this is going to be a lot of fun. About to my right is my co-host. As you know, his name is J.D. Sharp. He is a Donald Trump supporter. As he enters the ring right now, he is J.D. Sharp. J.D., thanks for joining us as well.
Absolutely. And again, I'm a Donald Trump supporter. I am not a Donald Trump apologist.
Fair enough. That's fair.
And there is a difference.
Fair to say. All right, let's get down to business, ladies and gentlemen. I've been debating with J.D. Sharp about the response of Donald Trump and his administration. J.D., you think that the president's response the last couple months, he's done a fine job and he's shown good leadership? Is that correct?
I think considering the hand that he was dealt and the information that he was given by one particular country, I'm not going to say that country, well, I'm going to say China, then yeah, I think that he has done a pretty good job.
Doug, what's your response to that?
I think when the history is written on this virus, it will show Donald Trump's response to be the biggest failure of presidential leadership in this country's history.
J.D., what would you say to that?
I would say that's extremely over the top and highly inaccurate.
Why do you say that, Doug?
Why do I say it? Number one, he was briefed in December that there was cases of pneumonia in China. It hadn't yet been identified. He was briefed again in January when it had been identified. We had our first cases January 21st. He did nothing until February 2nd when he declared his China travel ban, when we already had cases here. After that, he then did nothing except downplay it. He went and did a rally after that, after it had been identified as a public emergency. He did not mobilize the resources or the authority of the federal government. He didn't get the private sector involved with regards to testing. He did nothing but say stupid things like, oh, we have 15 people and in a couple of days it'll be down to 0. Everybody in the world knew that was stupid and inaccurate, and it didn't matter. He said it anyway.
No, and I agree that was a very, very incorrect statement. That being said, the first case of the coronavirus was December 6th in China. It was a man who worked in the Wuhan meat market, and his wife actually ended up getting the disease as well. And it was a pneumonia case. And over the course of the next month, there were a cluster. I think there was 47 pneumonia cases out of that same market within 20 days or so. And even on January 14th, the World Health Organization, because of what China told them, declared that this was not transmittable human to human. And when Donald Trump found out on January 22nd that there was that there was one person in the United States from Wuhan who was visiting who had the virus, he did say, yes, we're going to take care of this one thing. It shouldn't be an issue. That being said, the United States has had roughly 5,000 visitors via airplane from Wuhan the last 6 months. And there was a lunar holiday celebrated in China where there were 36 million people. And this, I think, was January 20th. And so Donald Trump was not dealt the best hand. He was given misinformation by the Chinese government. The Chinese government was hiding the fact that this was transmittable human to human, and they knew this as early as December 6th because this woman, this woman, the wife of the man who was basically patient zero, she was infected despite the fact that she had not been anywhere near that market. And so in my opinion, Donald Trump was not given the best information.
Well, he was given very little information from China, and yet he still went on Twitter and live and praised President Xi as just doing a wonderful job when he wasn't. He was lying to the world. As far as the WHO saying it wasn't transmittable, that's not what they said. They said we don't have clear evidence that it is. They didn't say it wasn't.
I mean, when you read that, you think that it's not transmittable. You don't think,
well, the average layperson, yes.
Because
easy for me to say, medical experts, no.
But you don't want to say, oh, this must be a conspiracy. You know, the World Health Organization is lying.
Let's put that aside.
When their job is to identify these type of and this is a once in a lifetime illness. This is the first one since the Spanish flu in 1918. But when they say that there's that there isn't evidence that it's transmittable, you think to yourself, this is because I was reading about this 2 or 3 months ago, and I was like, okay, there's this virus that's spreading in China. Not a big shock. A lot of these coronaviruses
let me just interrupt right here for a question for what you just said. Fine. 2 months ago, you were reading about this.
I was reading about the virus.
Just a couple days ago, Trump said 4 weeks ago, we didn't know anything about this. That's another lie.
I don't think that Trump knew enough about it to have the.
He said we didn't know anything about it 4 weeks ago. I played that bite on the show Saturday.
Okay, well, I haven't heard that bite. I haven't seen that bite.
Doug, explain what he said. What he said 4 weeks ago. All right, I don't want to interject here, but I have.
No,
to.
You're more than welcome to.
Okay?
That's totally fine.
It's a show.
It was a month ago where he said we have 15 cases, and I believe we'll get close to 0. Okay, he said that a month ago.
And I said he was extremely incorrect in that. Obviously, considering there's 60,000 cases and almost 1,000 deaths in the United States at this point.
He brags about this, people from China not being able to fly into this country. What good does that do when the virus is already here, J.D.?
Well, if the virus is already here and it's been here for a long time, then the actual mortality rate attached to the virus is significantly lower than is being reported, and it's not 10 to 20 times more fatal than the flu. If the virus has been circulating in the United States for 3 or 4 months, then there's probably at least 3 or 4 times the amount of cases that are reported. And if that's the case, then the mortality rate is more like 0.3 or 0.4%, which is 4 times more than the flu, but not 10 or 20.
I don't know where you're getting the information. Every medical expert I've heard, including Dr. Fauci, says that it's at least 1%. And in some places, it's as high as 3.4%. In Italy, it's even worse.
Well, Italy's also the oldest country on the planet.
True.
And about 85% of people who died in Italy were I think they were 85 years old, and they had a lot of underlying health conditions. And then you look at China, and it's actually broken down, 62-38 men to women. China has the most chain smokers in the world as well. The United States is not going to be Italy in 2 or 3 weeks. It's not going to be Wuhan. That's not going to take place.
I hate to tell you this, but it already is.
No, how is it?
Because our testing rate, our testing trend for new cases is now the highest of any country in the world.
No, we're definitely testing a lot, and per million, I think it's 116 cases per million people in the United States at this point.
Let me interject and ask another question. Can you really look Doug and I in the eye right now and say that you think the president has shown magnificent leadership?
I didn't say magnificent leadership. Now you're putting words into my mouth.
It's a question.
No, I think he's done a pretty decent job considering what he's been given. Obviously, were we prepared for this? No. Did he disband the pandemic team in 2018? Is there a lot of resources that have been allocated to this over the last 20 or 30 years? No, because this was not expected. But I think considering the fact that he's had to move on his feet very, very quickly, and China was giving not just him, but the entire world misinformation, I think he's done a pretty decent job.
By the way, a few months before the first case in China, he fired the epidemiologist we had that was working with the Chinese Health Organization. That might have helped.
So do you think that this is a conspiracy then, and he's actually
It's not
involved?
a conspiracy. Okay. It is ineptness and incompetence and ambivalence and lack of leadership by Donald Trump. It's not a conspiracy. He's just a crappy leader.
He was supposed to see that? He was supposed to
Yes. When he's warned that there's something going on in China, and then he's briefed in January that it's a virus and it's spreading worldwide.
But you're talking about
he should do something.
You're talking about him firing his epidemiologist back in October, it sounds like.
It might have even been a couple months before that. My point is, why? Why would you do that?
Because he didn't think that he needed the epidemiologist, obviously.
Exactly. He didn't think he needed it.
He didn't see it coming.
I don't care what he thinks he doesn't need.
You can't fault Donald Trump for not seeing a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic from taking place.
J.D., he was warned, he was briefed by our intelligence agencies in January and February that this was huge. Whether or not he knew about that a few months before, what is the point in firing an epidemiologist in China?
I have no idea. But
exactly.
But I'm not.
And neither did he.
But I'm not going to say that he's at fault for firing an epidemiologist 4 months before this took place, Doug.
Of course he's at fault for firing him.
All right,
not that he would know that it was coming, but there's no point in doing it.
All right, next question. If you're just joining us, it's the host, Doug Basham Show, 2 to 4 p.m. On KDWN, and of course my co-host J.D. Sharp, who is a Donald Trump supporter. Let's talk a little bit about some of the drugs that I would say that Donald Trump has been peddling, pushing. J.D. seems to think that the president is doing absolutely nothing wrong by talking about some of these drugs, and he seems to think that because there was one study with 26 people in France that it could be a cure for the virus. Talk to me about that.
I'm not saying a cure. I'm saying a treatment. Yes, there was a study done in France. The numbers you read were 20 and 26. I read 30 and 30, and it wasn't just chloroquine, which is hydroxychloroquine, not chloroquine phosphate, which the couple from Arizona, the fish tank cleaner, that they decided to ingest. And then they blamed Donald Trump, and they said, you can't believe anything Donald Trump says. And I really hope that our governor, Steve Sisolak, did not ban that drug because of what happened with that couple, because that couple, in my opinion, was stupid. I don't say that word very often, but that was a stupid thing to do.
It was a stupid thing to do,
stupid,
and what was even stupider is that they listened to Donald Trump. Yes, they mixed up. He was saying hydroxychloroquine.
Yes.
They used chloroquine phosphate. But the point is, they did it because they heard Donald Trump say the word chloroquine.
Did Donald Trump say that you can take anything, any type of household item you have?
No, JD, he didn't say that.
If the word chloroquine or chloroquine, is it kin or queen?
Chloroquine.
It's quin? Okay. If the word chloroquine is in any type of product that you have, you can take it, you can ingest it, you can put it in your body, and it's gonna protect you from coronavirus. No,
he didn't say that, JD. But you have to remember, the majority of Donald Trump's base aren't the sharpest crayons in the box. Okay, they hear the word chloroquine and they go, "Oh, that's got chloroquine in it. Let's take it."
On the same side, a lot of people who don't like Donald Trump think that he actually told them to do that, and that did not take place.
I'm not saying that.
A lot of people are.
I'm just saying that a lot of people are saying, they're blaming Donald Trump for the virus. I don't know anybody who's blaming him for the virus.
A lot of media outlets are saying that Donald Trump was responsible for these two people taking this chloroquine phosphate, which is clearly a fish tank cleaner, an additive.
And you don't think he bears any responsibility?
I don't think at all. Absolutely not.
If he hadn't said the word chloroquine, which has not been approved by the FDA for this virus,
again,
they wouldn't have gone looking for fish cleaner.
You can't fix, and they won't look. They had it there because they used it to.
JD, they had never heard that word chloroquine before Donald Trump said it.
That doesn't mean that Donald Trump is responsible for them using a fish tank additive, ingesting it, and thinking that it's
not in the context that he told them to. But again, these people aren't the sharpest knives in the drawer. They hear chloroquine. Oh, chloroquine. Let's use it.
To continue that. So Donald Trump, the study was done in France, where they had I read 30 for 30 within 6 days, and it wasn't just chloroquine. It was hydroxychloroquine combined with azithromycin, and they were cured of the disease in 6 days. That's what I read. Now, there's also a drug called Remdesivir, which is an HIV drug.
Hold on a second. That's not true what you just said.
I'm saying we read two different things. You read the CNN article.
Hold on a second.
I read the actual. I read the actual article from France. The study done by France. I'm not finished yet.
Hold on a second.
In addition to that,
talk about something else.
No,
let's focus on that. For the record,
we are focused on that.
You are telling me that 30 people out of 30 were cured of coronavirus?
That's what I read. Yes.
Where did you read that?
I read that based on an article out of France.
Completely
based on the study.
Completely not factual.
It happened with a day of that. Donald Trump was touting the drug.
I will make you a $1,000 bet right now on the radio that you're not telling me that's not what happened.
You read something different.
I will make you a $1,000 bet right now that 30 out of 30 people were not cured of the coronavirus from this drug. Period. I'll make you the bet right now.
First of all,
because it's not true.
I'm not debating you. I'm telling you what I read. You read something different. That's fine.
So if you read something on InfoWars, you could say, well, this might be right.
It wasn't InfoWars. There's nothing to do with it. But then Donald Trump came out within a day and said this could be a game-changing drug.
Do you know that Fox News has been talking about the study and they're not saying what you're saying?
That's, again, Brian, I'm telling you what I read.
You're giving out stuff that's not true. Just because you read something, you shouldn't talk about it on the radio. It's not true. It's not true.
It came from
I don't care
France.
if it came from your ass. It's not true.
Okay, all right.
JD, with all due respect, okay? You can't just say, well, I read something.
You know, when you tell your co-host you don't care if it came from his ass, respect is not the word that you use there.
Because you're saying things that are not true.
Just letting you, Brian, do you realize you say some of the most ridiculous things on a consistent basis?
Like what?
A lot of times, I'm not going to go through with it, but the listeners know.
That's because you don't have any.
Have I ever read a study in Europe from an article that I can't name that says 30 out of 30 people were cured of the coronavirus when I know that is factually inaccurate?
And then
it's just not true, JD. I don't want you to say you can have an opinion. I don't have a problem with that, but you're giving me something that's not true.
Who am I debating? Am I debating you or Doug?
Well,
what's going on?
I don't want you to put out stuff on the air.
I feel like you're hijacking this, Brian. Is that what's going on?
I'm not hijacking.
Are you sure?
I just don't want you to say things that are true.
You just can't help yourself right now?
Can a host hijack his own show?
I don't know.
Go ahead, Doug. Take over.
I have no idea.
I
was just interrupted by Brian because he's blowing a gasket over there while I'm trying to explain myself.
The overall overall point I would like to make regarding Donald Trump, chloroquine, the couple in Arizona, everything pertaining to this virus. Donald Trump should not be a part of these briefings. We need to hear from the medical experts like Dr. Fauci. Had Dr. Fauci spoken that day, the context in which he would have used the word chloroquine would not have led to those people in Arizona drinking fish cleaner.
Okay, and Dr. Fauci said that he is coming from a scientific perspective. Obviously, he is,
which is where it should be.
And Donald Trump
You
is
want
coming
to come from a political perspective?
Brian, shut up.
Go ahead.
Good God.
You're saying things
grow
are
up,
ridiculous.
man. Grow up.
What do you mean grow up?
Anyways.
Grow up.
I refuse.
Let's not listen to the scientist. You're right. I should grow up.
No, I'm just you keep interrupting.
No, what do you think of that point, JD?
We
We should be hearing from the Faucis, not the Trumps.
No, I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't be hearing from the Faucis.
But then why does he hog the majority of the camera time?
But that being said, Anthony Fauci has not been alive. I mean, no doctor has been alive to see a virus like this because the last one was 102 years ago.
It doesn't matter, JD.
The doctors don't really know what this.
That is hardly an
equalizer
equalizer that puts Donald Trump on equal footing with Fauci. He's seen a lot of other things Trump has.
Okay, what did Trump say exactly? He said, and I quote, "This drug could be a game changer."
And he had no business saying that. He is not a doctor.
He said that based on the study that
did Fauci back that up? No, he did not.
And since then, there's been an actor out of New York named Daniel Day Kim, also a man from Tampa who was given his last rites.
I loved him in Lincoln.
Who was given the drug a couple days after, and he was. Apparently, it was gone from his system as well. And then Vladimir Zelenko, a doctor from New York, has used this drug to treat 350 patients, and they've all been successful. So
that's fine. These are individual, isolated cases
There's been a lot backing it up as of late.
That's fine, but there hasn't been enough. All of that is anecdotal. There hasn't been enough conclusive proof that it's the game changer Trump says it might be. And I would contend this nation would be far better off if Donald Trump would stay in the background and let the medical experts conduct the briefing. He can't do that because he's the cheap, tacky reality TV host who has to have the lion's share of the camera.
By the way, according to Fox News, a right-wing channel, many of whom back Donald Trump on just about everything, especially after 5 p.m. That study that we're talking about that you just said on the air cured 30 out of 30 people of the coronavirus. According to Fox News, they say of that study, only 20 completed the trial. One person left before the trial was ended. One couldn't tolerate the medication. 3 people went into the ICU, and 1 person died. 6 people out of 26. 6. That improved. Now, you're entitled to your opinion if you think that this could help people, and I have no problem with that. And if people are on their deathbeds, let me be very clear. Do anything you can to help these people, even if it's a 1 in a million shot. JD, I've got no problem with that. But the reason why I blew up at you a little bit is because you said 30.
A little bit?
Well, I apologize, but 30 out of 30 people.
That was pretty over the top.
JD,
I had to tell my
JD,
co-host to shut up,
okay,
which
JD,
I've done. I've done the show for 2 years. I've never once had to do that.
All right. We're beyond that now. You said
Doug,
30,
you are bringing out an interesting dynamic between me and Brian.
Okay,
I have to be honest.
30 out of 30 people were cured of the coronavirus is not even close to the truth. We need to be factual. If you're going to form an opinion, at least have an idea of what you're talking about. And in this specific case, with this study in France, you didn't know what you were talking about, and that's what got me upset. Do you understand?
Brian, I knew what I was talking about. I knew what I read.
Who cares what you read?
I'm just telling you what that's.
I think the point is we all have to be discerning from where we get our information.
And that's fine.
And by the way, the Gateway Pundit is not a good place to get it, which is where you got the Cuomo 16,000 thing.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. That was the article he handed to Bill Hemmer yesterday. It was a Gateway Pundit article.
Let's talk about that. Hold on.
Which is another QAnon conspiracy site.
Yes, let's talk about that. So we debated this, Doug, in the first hour.
I heard.
Where, you said that, well, why didn't Cuomo buy these ventilators? From the information that I read from several sources in this country was that it would have cost him somewhere around $570 million. They couldn't afford it in the budget.
But then how does that put fault on Donald Trump? I mean, is he supposed
Because he's repeating and handing out articles from unreliable sources like Gateway Pundit.
No, I'm saying
he might as well hand out articles from InfoWars.
How is New York State's current situation where they're lacking ICU beds and ventilators, how is that on Donald Trump if they had opportunities?
Because when he was briefed in January and told this was going to be a global pandemic.
He was supposed to get 100,000 ventilators?
Yes. He should have utilized the resources of the federal government. That's what he should have been doing the past 2 months instead of his Klan rallies and downplaying the virus.
I don't know about Klan rallies. But so you're saying he should have secretly started up the Defense Protection Act and took all those resources that they already have and dispersed them accordingly.
Yes.
And you don't think that would have incited panic too early?
I don't care. The countries that did that are the ones that have, as they say, flattened the curve.
Okay, right now the United States is sitting where, virus-wise?
We are trending number one in new cases of any country in the world.
Okay,
we have not only not flattened the curve, we haven't reached the peak.
Right, but we also don't know how many people in the United States actually have the virus.
And that's because we're not testing enough and haven't been and should have been for the past 2 months and would have been if we had a real leader and not Trump.
That's because this virus is actually not as deadly as is being reported, because a lot of people can have mild symptoms or no symptoms. Also, if that's the case, then why is not an uptick in flu deaths as well? Maybe you can say, okay, well, someone had the virus 2 or 3 months ago, and it was actually the virus, but it was misdiagnosed as the flu, pneumonia based on the flu, and that's what caused the death. Well, why are the flu numbers actually significantly lower than they usually are?
Well, I don't know, and as Brian would say, with all due respect, to me that's irrelevant. When Donald Trump was briefed in January of what this was going to be, he did nothing. He continued to do rallies. He downplayed it. Oh, we got 15 cases. There'll be one in a few days. That's when he should have acted. Now we're putting all this money into businesses when we should have put the money 2 months ago into the people and the medical resources.
Okay, so Donald Trump. So the last 20 years, there have been how many situations like this? Now, I'm not talking like the Spanish flu. I'm saying Ebola, SARS, MERS. None of them, because it's not a combination of deadliness and just the amount of how contagious it is. How many situations has Donald Trump or any president outside of the president in 1918 dealt with something like this?
Here's what
Obama dealt with the H1N1.
Okay, then that was what, 60 million?
60 million what?
60 million infected.
Okay.
And 12,000 died.
Right.
So it wasn't.
By the way, Trump said 14,000, then 17,000.
Okay, it wasn't nearly as deadly.
All right,
right.
guys, we're up against the break. Here's what I want to do. Trust me, we're going to continue this conversation on the other side. I'm sure we have a lot of listeners that are fired up. I also want to give them an opportunity to chime in on this very, very titillating conversation. Can I say that on the air? I just did. The number to call if you want to be a part of this conversation is 702-257-5396. Again, that number, if you want to chime in, 702-257-5396. We got J.D. Sharp here on the right. We got Doug Basham here on the left, and I promise you we will get to as many calls as we can on the other side of the break. So stick with us. We'll be back here in just a few. We'll take your phone calls. We're talking about just about everything involved with the coronavirus and the Trump response. So we'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, K-Dawn. All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us. A good spirited debate. There's nothing wrong with that. On the right, we got my co-host, J.D. Sharp. And on the left is liberal talk show host Doug Basham. And we're taking your phone calls in regards to Donald Trump, the response to the coronavirus, and your thoughts on really anything we've covered in this show in regards to unemployment benefits, in regards to the stimulus package, Governor Sisolak. We're taking your calls and give us a buzz right now, 257-5396. If the lines are busy, please keep trying. Let's start off with Janice. Janice has been waiting patiently on hold. Janice, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, Janice?
Yes, may I speak with J.D.?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, J.D. How are you?
How are you? I'm doing well.
Oh, good. I just want to say a couple of things, if I may. First thing was, I believe I could be mistaken, that they say all those first tests that they wanted everybody to take, that was coming up false positives, so they did another test. Is that true?
I didn't even hear the question, Janice. I'm sorry.
Hello?
She's talking about the original CDC tests that were not giving correct results. Is that right, Janice?
Yeah, false testing.
That's correct.
Is that correct? And then
That's correct.
Trump
The
did
original
another
tests were not functional.
Correct. So that has a lot to do with a lot of things, I would think. That's number one. Number two, I want to thank everybody for their opinions, but I want to ask one question. Is this true or false? Was there a thing called, let's see if I get it right, adrenochrome painted in the blood through the flu through Wuhan facility? Is that true?
I have no idea. I haven't heard that. It's a good question, Janice, and you know what? To be honest with you, I'll try to get that information for you. I'll look that up, but I appreciate the phone call. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the call, Janice.
702-257-5396. Let's go to Dwayne. Dwayne, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Dwayne?
Okay, check this out, fellas. A while back, do you remember when we were building the border wall? You remember that?
Well,
we needed all this money to build the border wall. So he cut these jobs out, got these people out of these offices. They're supposed to keep us from all these dangerous viruses that are going around. Remember that?
Yeah, that did a really good job, didn't it? This border wall really helped us from viruses.
It sure did. It's killing us. Okay? It really is. Because if those people would be in their jobs right now, they were supposed to be in, 27 different countries, I believe, and they all got cut?
Actually, 49 countries and 39 were cut.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So my numbers are a little off, but I'm right because he needed this money to build this damn wall. Okay? We didn't really need a damn wall. We need to be safe.
I tend to agree with you, and I understand your sentiment, and I appreciate the phone call, by the way. And the point he's trying to make is all this money for this wall, by the way, Mexico is going to pay for it. Well, how did that work out? But you could make the argument, and I think this is the argument he's trying to make, is the money that put forth for this wall could have been put forth towards other things like maybe masks, maybe ventilators, maybe preventing something like this from happening, J.D.?
What, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
No, January.
Yeah, January, yeah. January.
You know, further to Janice's point, the original CDC test not being accurate, she said that played a part. Yes, it did. Right. And that should have been something we rectified in January.
Wait, and Doug, who actually manufactures the coronavirus tests?
Who actually manufactures it?
Yeah.
Well, there's different private companies that are. I mean, they're.
Yeah, it's not one company. There's multiple companies.
Are they made in the United States? Are they made out of state? So we'll say the United States needs 200,000, or we'll say 1 million coronavirus tests. Where do they come from?
They should have come from the private sector that Trump should have mobilized in January. He didn't. They didn't.
702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Joel. Joel, you're next up on the Vegas Take. Go ahead, Joel.
Hey, what's up, Joel?
I apologize. Carlos is next. See, when you're doing a show from your apartment, sometimes you don't always see who's next up on the phone call. We're doing the best we can. Carlos, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Hey, what's up, Carlos?
Good. I got 2 points. One on Syselac and one on the COVID-19. How many are hospitalized here, Doug, in the area hospital?
I don't know the exact figure.
The answer is
it's about
65.
32. I got the rundown. UMC 9, Mountain View 7, Summerlin 6, Valley 6, Sienna 5, North Vista 1.
Okay, and your point is?
The point is it's overblown. And the reason there's supplies because
point is it's overblown.
Stealing masks. This whole thing, this whole shooting match.
Have you taken any fish cleaner lately?
You need a prescription for that, Doug.
Oh.
And getting back to Syselac, I sent J.D. a text a couple of days ago that area doctors were writing for the Plaquenil's brand name.
You know what? I have to interrupt here because you're rambling and you're making no sense. For you to come on this show and say they're overblowing it after what you've seen happen in New York, what you've seen in Washington, what you've seen in California, and watch for what you're going to see in Florida, Louisiana, and Missouri, because you ain't seen nothing yet. This virus is more contagious and more deadly than the flu. And for you to sit there after all you should have seen by now and say, oh, it's overblown. I'm sorry, you're a nitwit.
I think he's overblowing the president. That's what I think. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Dave. Dave, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on, Dave?
Hey, what's up, Dave?
Hey, guys, good topic. Hey, I haul medical supplies for a major medical distributor. You know what? And everyone says, oh, the federal government this, federal government that for these masks. These hospitals don't buy the masks through the federal government. They buy it through these independent, giant corporations that sell to hospitals, to the clinics, to everything else. You know, again, this thing, nobody knew, but you're so ripe to blame the federal government. Okay, and another thing, have you ever heard a guy named Bill?
That's another thing. You people on the right are so quick to blame the federal government until you really should.
Yeah, okay, but you guys, now there's different aspects of how we can do this. One was, I like the idea, instead of shutting down the whole world, grab all these old people and put them up in these hotels.
Geez. You are aware of the fact that a person under the age of 18 died in Los Angeles yesterday?
First of all, that's not true, Doug. They changed that that was not caused by the coronavirus. He had a history of underlying health conditions.
Well, he may have had a history of underlying health conditions.
And he was 17 years old, but they said that he did not die of the coronavirus.
So we should just forget about that because he.
No. What I'm saying is that
the point is there are people in their 30s and 40s
the high
that
risk
have
groups, very few. The high risk groups, if you have major underlying, and but those that have died have had underlying health conditions. The high risk groups, in my opinion, just like Boris Johnson is doing in the UK, they should be quarantined for 12 to 14 weeks. There should be government, and I do say government. You could probably integrate some private companies like an Uber Eats or a Smith's or something along those lines, but that should be helping supply them with medical, food, and essentials while everyone else gets back to work before this economy gets set back 20 years.
I'm sorry. Did I mishear what that last caller just said? He said the old people should go to work? Is that what he just said? Is that what this moron just said?
Yeah, basically he's employing the latest, I don't know, talking point of the right, murder grandma.
Well, you know what, sir? If you have grandparents and older people and friends, I wonder how you'd feel if you told them to go to work and then in 2 weeks they were dead, God forbid. I wonder how you would feel, and I wonder if you'd continue to put up
Brian,
that stupidity.
What are the chances that grandma's actually working? Let's say grandma's 78 years old. She's most likely retired.
Let me give out the number again, 702-257-5396. Let's go to Robert. Robert, you're on with Doug Basham, J.D. Sharp, and myself, the brilliant Brian Shapiro.
Well,
hey, what's up,
really
Robert?
Quick, I mean, I'm listening to both sides today, but one thing that you just commented on when it came to the border wall, about the money for the border wall in January, this really wasn't even known about in January. And when Trump
yes, it was.
The travel, it was known.
You heard J.D. earlier say it was known in December.
When Trump put in his travel restrictions, the Democrats went crazy. Okay.
And Joe Biden actually went as far as to call it a xenophobic act.
That's fine, but the overall point, name calling aside, the overall point is we had our first cases January 21st. He put the travel ban in place February 2nd. Why didn't he put the travel ban in place when he was briefed by our intelligence agencies earlier in January before we had our first cases? He's no hero for this China ban late.
First.
What, Robert? Go ahead, respond.
You have to assess the situation first.
You have to assess the situation first.
When you make a travel ban like that, how much is that costing the airlines, for example? How much is that costing the hotels and the destinations that these people are going to, and the economies of the states that are being traveled to? Again, and you can't just institute a giant travel ban like that without having and at that point, I think on the 27th there was 5 cases. The second one was in Chicago, then there was one in New York State. The first was in actually Sonoma, Washington, and it was someone that traveled from Wuhan.
Robert, I have a question for you. Did you have that same Robert, I have a question for you. When he installed this Muslim travel ban, were you up in arms about that as well?
Actually, I was, to a point. I believe that people need to be vetted. But the travel ban itself, no. But vetting the people, yes.
All right, Robert, we appreciate the phone call. 702. Thank you, Robert.
The problem with travel bans, Brian, is if they're instituted too quickly, there are major economic consequences that you have to consider.
So let's consider the economy before the health and well-being of Americans. This is why you have these people like Glenn Beck, the lieutenant governor, the lieutenant idiot, and
Glenn Beck, who broadcasts from his home every day.
Britt Hume, the hero Glenn Beck who wants to die to help the economy.
I can't say much to about that at this point, though.
All right, 702-257-5396. Let's go to Mike. Mike, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Mike?
Okay, look, first-time caller, okay? Now, as far as this border wall goes, that's yesterday's news, okay? From today on...
Go ahead, Mike.
Begin from today on for the near future. Forget yesterday's news. Don't bring it even up.
I didn't bring it up. I'm not the one who brought it up.
The president tried to put money there from the other country of Mexico. If he didn't and he couldn't, what he should have
Hold it. You just said let's move forward from today, and now you're going back to Mexico paying for the wall.
Why are you bringing this up? Talk about what you want.
You just talked about the wall, didn't you?
But you said move forward.
Let's move forward. What would you like to talk about?
What I would like to talk about, do things right of saying different stuff. Stop cursing, for number one, with the light cursing. And as far as his bash goes, whatever what his name is.
Did you say stop cursing?
You're lowering yourself real quick on your radio station.
What are you talking about? What do you mean stop cursing? What I don't even know what you just said.
You said ass.
So ass to you? I can't say ass? I don't understand. Would you like to hear butt, sir? Well, what are you talking about? Sir, you're an ass. I'm sorry, sir, you're a butt. 702-257.
Isn't that amazing when someone chastises you on your language that obviously supports Donald Trump?
It's incredible.
Who says words in public on network television that we still can't say on radio?
Excuse me, sir. I wonder if you went up to your wife today and you said, I want to grab you by the P word. I wonder how she would take that. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Logan. Logan, you're next on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Logan?
I apologize. Gino, you're next.
Hey, Gino.
Yeah, guys, hey, do a great job here early in the morning. That wakes me up, buddy. I'm 86 years old, and I work 3 jobs. Ain't nothing
God bless you, sir.
Better than sitting in a chair eating potato chips, buddy.
and I totally agree with that.
Popcorn ears. Get a job. Get the hell out of that recliner and go to work. 86.
See, that's how you start, sir. That's how you start a phone call. I like you, Gino. You're like the cool grandpa I never had. I like that.
You guys do all right, buddy. Just keep up the good work. I love you all. Just keep it up.
Thank you, Gino. Gino, we love you too, my friend. Thank you for those compliments. We appreciate that, and stay away from those potato chips. Appreciate the phone call. 702. How about that guy? Huh? 86 years old. God bless him. 3 jobs.
Hey, it's like my grandfather. My grandfather is 85.
So,
he goes to work every single day.
There's an 86-year-old that works 3 jobs.
And he goes to lunch with my dad probably every single day. But he doesn't go to a lot of places. He doesn't go to a lot of places where there's a lot of people with in big groups. Like, he doesn't go to a lot of places.
So should that guy be out and going to work at 86 years old with 3 jobs?
If he wants to.
If he wants to.
Yeah, it's his choice.
You think that's responsible? You think it should be his choice?
Yeah, of course it's his choice.
Oh, good
Why would
God.
it not be his choice? Of course it's his choice. Yes.
See, here's the whole problem. We have had no national leadership. This 15 days to halt the spread is just a farce. There's been no national leadership on any kind of lockdown. There are governors in states who to this day have not asked for people to stay inside. I mean, it's just a joke. And now all of a sudden, I'm going to have the country reopened by Easter.
Fair enough. Let's go back to the phone calls.
Is to avoid going bankrupt.
All right, so we have a full board of calls. That means there's a lot of people waiting on hold, so I do want to get to more of our calls at 257-5396. Let's go to Leo. Leo, you're next on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Leo?
JD, what's up, brother?
Not a lot. How are you, Leo?
Good. Listen, if you need a job, man, call me. I'm a retired official from a union back east.
JD, are you leaving the show anytime soon?
Brian needs to go back to Hartford, Connecticut.
Hartford.
Doug Basham needs to go back to Canada, where he's from.
Okay, so Leo, hold on a second, guys.
Why, Leo?
Hold on.
Why do Brian and I need to return from whence we came?
Yeah, would you like to have a debate, Leo? What do you disagree with us on? Would you like to have an intellectual conversation?
No, what I would ask Leo is name one thing either Brian or I said that wasn't true. Obviously, I made a mistake on the 18-year-old.
See, another idiot.
Another
idiot.
coward.
Yeah, a complete coward.
And Leo, while I appreciate your proposal, I believe we're going to be syndicating the show on a coast-to-coast level very soon, so I should not be in need of other employment.
Why don't you go back to Hartford, you coward?
I do like your accent, though.
702-257-5396. Let's go to Keone. Keone, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Keone?
Hey, first of all, Brian, you got to come down before you get a heart attack, bro.
My heart is very powerful, sir. Don't worry about me, my friend. You know what? I'm just risking my life for the economy. That's what I'm doing. I'm risking my heart for the economy. That's what I'm doing.
JD, man, thank you for backing up our president. And, Brian, why you keep bringing this guy? Man, this guy is a fake news.
Who's fake news?
Fake news. Good Lord.
Okay, hold on a second.
No, actually, I think Doug Basham is very, very intelligent. I think he's got a lot of knowledge.
Well, hold on. Let's test him.
I think he's well-studied. And I think he comes with facts, and I appreciate debating a guy like Doug Basham because it requires a lot of effort, and that's a good thing.
As you know, Keone, you listen to the show, and we appreciate that. But if you're going to call somebody out, you know what I'm going to do next. Be specific. What has Doug Basham said that is incorrect, not factual?
2016, he was on his radio telling everybody that President Trump is not going to be the president.
So what? 90% of the country.
Donald Trump didn't think he was going to be president. That was a prediction.
You think? Hold on a second. So hold on a second. You hold on a second. Now, I'll keep you on the line. You hold on a second because you just said something dumb. 90% of the people on Fox News, including the majority of the Republicans, if you had asked them before the election, many of them were asked, they thought that Donald Trump was going to lose and Hillary was going to win. So what the hell are you talking about criticizing Doug Basham when the majority of Americans...
Not President Trump's supporter.
What are you talking about?
I'll tell you. Let me ask you a question, sir, if I may. opinions and predictions aside, yes, I actually predicted he wouldn't be the Republican nominee, so I got that one wrong too. But that's a prediction. That's not a reported story. When it gets down to reported stories, tell me one thing I've said that isn't true.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you said that President Trump is gonna, Hillary's gonna win the.
Oh my God, you're a broken record. Bye, Keone. Bye. Have a nice day. Bye.
Yeah, good call, Keone.
Yeah, great call. You're fake news because you thought Donald Trump was going to lose the election. What a buffoon. 702-257-5396. God, can we get some smarter callers, please? Let's go to Dale. Dale, you're next up on the Vegas Take. Go ahead, Dale.
Hey, what's up, Dale?
Wow, the emotions are running hot. Everybody's taking deep breaths. Well,
That's
not
facts.
too deep because you don't want to get infected. But
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, it's a very contentious topic. I try to look at the facts. My daughter's a radiologist. I've been in some foreign countries and traveled around. I listen to Doug. I disagree with most of what he says, but I listen because I want to hear the other side.
I have to ask you a question before you go any further, if I may. You say you disagree with what I say. What I try to do on my show, I do a lot of research, as J.D. said,
Doing just what you do on
and
your
I
show.
present facts. How do you disagree with facts?
Well, Dale, let's have a good conversation, Dale, because Doug is here. And I appreciate the fact
I don't want
that
to get into a wrap around with Doug because
you can't. Because you can't.
Well, Dale, we don't.
I asked you a question to tell me something I said that wasn't factual, and I'm not going to get into
Doug,
a
hang on a
reach around.
second. Doug, Dale, with all respect, okay, I respect your comments. That's what this show's about: debate, conversation. Just give me one thing that you disagree with Doug on, and let's have a debate about it with respect. Let's do it. Dale, give me one important thing that Doug talks about in his show that you disagree with.
Take your time.
Take a deep breath.
Well, okay, I really call to talk about the coronavirus. And
Yeah.
If I offended Doug, then
Game, set,
President
match.
has done nothing. That's not true. He said he doesn't have any leadership. Those are opinions, and they're exaggerated, and they're not true. President Trump has done a lot of things. Now,
name one.
Could he have done more early? Yeah, probably. But every year we have a new virus of some sort.
Okay, then you don't disagree with me.
No, and I think that's a valid point. There have been a lot of viruses that have kind of popped up, and it's been kind of an end of a doomsday scenario, and it's never really gotten that far. And this one actually did. No, this one has created a lockdown. It shut down most non-essential businesses. It shut down all of sports. I mean, it's basically taken away entertainment from Las Vegas. People move to Las Vegas because Las Vegas is the entertainment capital of the world. Now they're stuck at home and they can't. Like I moved here 2 years ago, right, or 3 years ago, because I like the lifestyle, I like the weather, and I like the lifestyle that Las Vegas offered me. Now I don't have that lifestyle anymore, and there's a lot of people out there that are just like me who are thinking the exact same thing.
Where'd you move from?
Omaha, Nebraska.
Dale, if I may,
home of the biocontainment unit for Carl Goldman.
Dale, since you brought up leadership, let's talk about leadership for a second. Do you think it's leadership the other day when a member of the media in Donald Trump's press conference says, people are scared, Mr. President. Can you talk to the American people? And he says, his response is, I think you're a horrible reporter. And he makes it about himself. Do you think it's leadership when he goes after Nancy Pelosi's dentures? Do you think it's leadership when he goes after POWs? Do you think
Come on, Brian, stop the check.
Excuse me. You told me to shut up. Now it's your turn.
I'm not telling you to shut up.
Okay. Well, you told me earlier. Now it's your turn. Dale, do you think that's leadership?
Okay, Brian,
That was a yes or no.
Yeah, don't Brian me. Yes or no? Is that leadership? It's an easy question to answer.
By the way, Sisolak is getting destroyed all over the news for what he's doing.
Different subject. Dale, can you please answer that question?
No.
No, you can't. All right, thank you for
not going to like my answer. It comes to the
That's fine.
So
you don't have one.
Just don't swear, and that's fine.
Yeah, going after the media when asked to talk about to the American people who are scared, and going after a member of the media, calling him a horrible reporter. You're right. That's fantastic leadership. You can say what you want about Barack Obama, and you can say what you want about his policies. This has nothing to do with politics. It is about leadership. And if you can't honestly answer that question, then we're going to move on to the next caller. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Grace. Grace, you're next up. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Grace?
Hey there, guys. I just want to say, Brian and Doug, be strong. You guys are doing great, saying the mainstream facts. All these people that are right-wing crazies drinking that Kool-Aid, it just drives me crazy. I can't handle it. But just say, that's all I'm calling, is the comment. Keep up. Keep up the
Grace,
good work,
I appreciate
guys.
that. Thank you, Grace. I appreciate
Good
that.
call, Grace.
You know, I just read a poll before I came down here today, how we're living on two Earths, Earth 1 and Earth 2. Earth 1 follows the medical experts and the scientists. Earth 2 follows Donald Trump. 85% of Earth 1 dwellers trust the CDC for their information. 90% of Earth 2 dwellers trust Donald Trump
I'm
for their
telling you, it's
coronavirus information.
It's incredible. JD,
Hence, fish cleaner.
JD, on a scale of 1 to 10, how angry are you at me right now?
I'm not angry at all, man. I'm fine.
Okay, I'm just checking in with you.
I'm totally good, man. I promise. I'm fine.
All right, good to hear. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Rob. Rob, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's up, Rob? Rob, go ahead. You're up.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not a Kool-Aid drinker, and the thing is, I know the little game you play. People who disagree with you, you cut them off, and then you call them a coward.
No, we asked them to tell us one thing you said that isn't true, and when they can't, then we cut them off.
What he does is he puts them on the spot, and he requires them to come up with an answer in 2 seconds. And the average person without a lot of radio experience can't do that, so he obviously has an inherent advantage.
Rob, so if I could just respond to what you just said, because you just within the first 5 seconds of your phone call said something that is not factually accurate. Here's why I called.
No, it is.
Excuse me, I'm answering your question now, and I'm defending myself.
Wait.
I call No, you wait. I call somebody a coward. I'm going to hang up on you. You call somebody a coward. When you call somebody a coward, you don't shut up. Be quiet for 10 seconds, and I'll keep you on the line. I call somebody a coward when they call me something and they call me out for something. Then I say, well, why are you calling me out for that? Give me a reason why. Excuse me, I'm not done yet. And then when they hang up the phone and they don't answer my question, then I call them a coward.
Or you say that they don't know what they're talking about.
So now that
or you call them a buffoon. But the problem is, Brian, you only give them about 2 seconds to think of something.
That's about what this guy has to say something intelligent.
But see, that's not enough. The average person who isn't a radio host is not going to be able to think on their feet that fast.
No, the average intelligence of a person.
And articulate it that quickly. So you should give them 5 seconds.
Okay,
so
well, I'll give this guy.
You're kind of cutting out one of their legs already, and that's kind of an issue.
Caller, what's your point?
Okay. I was talking to Doug. All right. I don't know why this other guy jumped in. You know, I don't know.
Because it's not his show, it's our show, and I called somebody a coward 5 minutes ago, you dope.
I'm the one that's jumping in. It's Brian and JD's show. If anyone's intruding, it's me.
Cuts people off.
Yeah, well, now I'm going to cut you off because we got to go to break. So thank you for making absolutely no sense in that phone call.
By the way, I have an announcement when we come back.
All right, so we got to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will hear JD's announcement. I have a feeling it has something to do with Governor Sisolak. I hope I'm not assuming the wrong thing. But JD will make that announcement, and Doug Basham will be continuing to join us for the next segment. John Brookhagen from Infinity the Math Institute will be joining us at the bottom of the hour. We'll take a quick break, be back right after this. You're listening to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.